Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, reality TV, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. I interview everyone and we have a blast. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. On Netflix, a show that you might have heard of called The Circle has been taking the world by storm. It is one of Netflix's first reality competition series. Season 1 wrapped up with Joey Sasso as the winner, and we are speaking to a contestant from The Circle. We are with none other than Seaburn Williams. Seaburn, welcome to Popternative.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome to the show, man.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
And you know what? It's been like about a week and a half since we found out who won the show, I would say, or a little 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably about almost 2 weeks.
So it's fresh, and it must have been just nuts on your side, the reception and everything.
It's been absolutely bonkers.
That's awesome, man. It's like, I mean, I'm sure you expected it a little bit, but I'm sure it's exceeded it a little bit as well.
It definitely has succeeded like my wildest expectations, because like when you go into something like this, they tell you not to really think of it as big as it's really gotten, truthfully. So they kind of had us like in the mindset of like dumbing it down a lot. But we were just going into it thinking like, yo, this is another project that we're going to have fun on, and we're going to like create something really dope. That's going to be like super fun to just be a part of.
Absolutely. Now, for the people that, have not watched, The Circle, I mean, people compare it kind of like a hybrid, like between, Big Brother and a bit of a catfish in there, especially with your character. Can you kind of explain to our viewers what I mean by that? Kind of take us through what happened. You have an option to go as yourself or someone else. You didn't want to be yourself, so you have to tell us about this.
So my idea was to pretty much go in there and spice things up, because I didn't want to go in as myself, because I know that regardless, I'm a lot of fun. I'm like super fun. I'm super, super hilarious. And in real life, I'm like the universal person. I'm like super cool. So I just was like, nah, let me not go in as myself and see how it is to play someone else. Because in the game, they say you can go in as anything, anyone, and, do anything you want. And it's like, I was like, okay, that seems like
it's on, game on.
Yeah, it would be a lot more fun. So I just looked at my girlfriend and said, hey, let me play as you.
What was her reaction? Like, what did she think about all this?
She actually, like, initially she was like, okay, cool. And then when she realized like what it was for, she was like, wait, hold on, let me think about it. Because she started like freaking out herself, and I was like, what? I was like, it's not that big. Like, and little did I know that it would actually be as big as I thought, or as big as she thought.
How did you kind of get involved with the show? Did you have some kind of interest in reality TV before this? Kind of take us through kind of the early stages of getting Seaburn on The Circle.
Oh man, truthfully, I was just looking for, because I was already up for like four different shows, and they were already in like the whole like creative process, and I was just waiting to sign some more paperwork. And then this one came to me, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna put it on the back burner. And then it was like I started seeing like different like signs for it, because I saw the advertisement on Instagram, and then I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, that can't be coincidence. So then I had checked my email and went back to the email, and I actually filled out the application and went through the process, and Shibuya, we're here now.
Why do you think people love the show so much? Was it because it was kind of like, is it just as simple as saying it was a fresh kind of take on like a reality competition show?
Well, I think it was the whole idea that it was like the social media aspect, because it was relatable. It was very relatable, and it was like, it definitely was fresh, because it's like you haven't seen anything like it in like eons, because no one has used the social media aspect to turn it into a game. And it's like the fact that they did use social media turned it into a game, and now it's like you had Big Brother, like the Big Brother take on it as well, while being in the house but not meeting anyone else. So it was definitely like a new perspective.
So you've said it in interviews, it's no surprise, and I'm the same way. You have a lot of facial expressions, you're very loud and energetic, right? Like, you embrace it on the show, and I love that, man. You know what I mean? Like, I love that about you on the show. I was about to say, like, I love that about your character, but it's just you.
Oh, man, that's the funny part. A lot of people are like, are you acting? Are you acting? And I'm like, the only part that I'm acting is me. I'm just acting hella funny. And
so the one thing that I noticed, though, is you just did it now. Your eyes kind of pop up sometimes when you talk. So there's some funny GIFs and memes online, right? Like, of you. Did you expect that to happen? Or have you seen any of those? Because that's pretty funny.
See, it's funny. Like, when going into like 2019, like in January, I was like, you know what? I want to become a GIF. I was like, I definitely want to become a GIF. And I was like, that's my goal for 2019.
You're a GIF. You're a GIF.
And by the end of it, I was like, oh snap! I'm not one, but I'm many. And then coming into this year to see so many of them, I'm like, that's a super succeeded my like wildest dream, because I just wanted to become a GIF, and I was like, that kind of helped with becoming a super GIF.
There's a lot of like people have a lot of reasons why they love watching reality TV. Some watch it, as a guilty pleasure. Some people really love kind of getting to know certain, contestants on the show and then follow them on social media. Why do you think the circle, aside from the social media aspect of things, hit stride with the audience?
Well, it was just because every character you can relate to in some way, shape, or form. Like Shuby, as I said, is like the super nerd, like the super dork. And like me, I'm like the goofball. Like, everyone loves the
class clown. Like, were you the class clown growing up?
Surprisingly, I wasn't.
Okay.
That's the funny part. I was actually the quiet kid in the back that like just did all his work. Like, I always had jokes, but I was always on the low with them. But Sammy, like, she's like the really super smart chick that's like, everyone's like, oh my goodness, I can relate to her, plus she's super pretty. And like Joey's like everybody's bro, everybody's homie. Like, he's like, yo, what's up, bro? And then there's Chris. Like, Chris is just super fabulous. Like, everybody loves super fabulous. Then there's Mercedes, who's just like, yeah, you already know. And she's just so freaking cool. And I'm like, everyone can relate to one of the characters in some way, shape, or form, because that's their kind of personality.
When you guys were shooting the show and shooting your, like, when you're talking to the circle, right, and ready the direct messages, what was the behind the scenes like? I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of like laughing, or like, did you have to do a lot of takes?
Oh man!
Or is everything we see, is that like raw and like one cut, or?
Like, yeah, that's super raw. One take wonder, like legit. They never stopped filming. Like, the only time I can't even say the only time. The only time they really did stop filming was like maybe bedtime, but even at that, they was still like filming and like going to work. Mm-hmm. And all of it was like, you would wake up, you'd go, and you'd be on the circle, and you'd be in the game and like really be there until it was like time for you to go to bed. So you would eat all that stuff and go through the day.
Sammy was kind of saying when she came on that she showed up kind of to her room and there was not much stuff. She had to talk to kind of the interns and the people on the show to get stuff in her room. Was that the same experience for you as well? Or was your room kind of furnished when you got there?
No, everything was really fully furnished. By the time I got there, like, I wanted to open the window one time, and they was like, no, you can't open the window. I was
abort mission.
I was like, my bad, I'm sorry. So I like opened the window, then I closed it so fast, and they was like, okay, where? I was like, what'd I do? And so no, everything was really fully furnished. I had like everything set up, from like the TV all the way down to like the bed itself. Everything was all set up.
Okay. Because she was saying like she didn't have like, I think it was like scissors, or like when she needed something, she would kind of ask the people on set and they'd have to give it to her.
Oh, yeah. So like there would be times where I would like need like a broom or like a mop. I would definitely need that stuff. I would talk to them about getting stuff that in there. Sometimes it would be like super hot in the apartment. So I'd be like, hey guys, can, I get like an AC or something? Like, I'd look up at the big voice in the sky, like, hello, big voice.
For the people who are obsessed with the circle, give us a fact or a story that legit is the definition of behind the scenes of the circle. Something you might have never thought was legit in the circle. Is there anything you could share about us? Whether it was kind of like how long it took to film, or give us a fact. Give us some stuff.
Oh man,
give us something, Sieber. Give it to us.
Well, while being in the circle, you lose all sense of like time, like the day, the reality of it, because you're really fully committed with being in the circle. They don't tell you like, oh, it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You just don't know. They can't give it to you. So you're like really fully committed and you're just stuck to your devices. So whatever you bring in the circle, you really have to make sure that you bring something that's going to be memorable and that's going to be like factual, because if you don't, you're going to be bored as heck.
So it's just crazy to think about. It's just crazy to think about like the fan base it got, and we were talking about before we started. It'd be like your Instagram is like you can't even it can't even be followed right now.
Oh my goodness! Like, listen, if you think mine is crazy, look at like Sammy, or look at
Sammy's
Chris,
is nuts. Like
yeah, it's absolutely.
Sammy actually is like has more than Joey right now.
She's almost at like 500,000 people. That's like insane. Alone. And Joey's at like maybe 350, I believe.
And you're almost at like 170.
I'm almost at 170. Almost at 170. So like,
but like, think of what do your family and friends think about that though? Because you're just like, you're Seaburn, right? And now all of a sudden, like what do they say about this?
They're like, man, you're still a dork. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I'm like, I just can't, like, even I can't fathom the idea of like being Seaburn. Oh my gosh. And
oh my God, you're still a dork.
Yeah, like I talked to my mom this afternoon. She was like, I was like, Ma, I was in the grocery store and this girl, she recognized me. She was like, you're still a dork. She said it really fast. And she said it so quick. I was like, you are absolutely right, short legs.
So I was going to ask you about that because you're in Boston right now. And I was just going to ask you about that. Has there been a lot of kind of people like noticing you around? Because it's a very popular show. Like a lot of people are watching that show, man.
Oh, man. It's gotten such an amazing response. Like a lot of people have noticed, like people that actually watch the show have noticed.
Like, have you been to a grocery store and someone's like, oh, Sieber, like, has that happened yet?
That actually happened this afternoon. That was the funny part. Yeah. That's where the girl recognized me. She was behind the cash register, and I was standing in line because I went to this place called the Daily Table, and I went to like just grab some lunch. And I'm standing there, and she's staring. She's like, and she turned her head, and I said, shh.
Now,
I literally did that quick.
Now I have a question to ask you. Were you like? What was your appearance like? Were you in sweatpants? Because I'll explain to you why I'm asking this question. Like, were you kind of camera ready at this place? Probably not, right?
Yes.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Because at this point, I'm like, I have to kind of be in that mindset of like always being just ready and always on.
Absolutely. The reason I'm asking that is because I've had past, actors and actresses on the show, right? And like Carl McDowell, who was on Ballers, or Simu Liu, who's going to be Shang-Chi in a new Marvel movie. He says when you're recognized, it's like the worst time. Like you'll just be like in like sweatpants and a hoodie, and then like you wouldn't think anyone would recognize you. They're like, oh, it's Simu Liu, and he's like, yep, that's me. You know what I mean? Like you get recognized the worst time. So that's why at this grocery store, like this place to get lunch, I was wondering if like you were camera ready, because it seems like they're saying like that's when you get recognized, when you're not ready to be recognized.
See, and that's the funny part, because I legit had on my Fresh Prince hoodie, and I had on some sweatpants, but I made sure like my face was ready. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna get caught off guard. And in my head, I'm always like walking down the street somewhere or like going to a regular corner store. And in my head, I'm like, okay, what would happen if, I was to hug someone and smelled like somebody's bad BO or something? Like, you always have to think of stuff like that.
Absolutely. How quick are you with quick fat speed rounds. How good are you with that? Like, I'm gonna ask you a question, you give me an answer. Are you good with that?
Oh, I'm good on my toes. Okay,
so we're gonna do a speed round right now. I'm gonna ask you questions. Some are yes or no. Some are, like, what's your favorite, like, style of music, like that. You know what I mean? Some you might have to think, but I'm gonna throw some curveballs at you.
Oh, I'm good. Trust me. My mom is throwing every curveball and pot and pan everywhere.
All right.
Literally.
And they're gonna be really random, and some of them are gonna be like, "Why is he asking whatever?" They're gonna be really random. Okay, ready?
Let's do it. Okay. I'm ready.
Pencil or pen?
Pen.
How many photos have you taken with fans in the last week?
About 30 plus.
What's your favorite dessert?
Cheesecake.
Steak or cheeseburger?
Steak.
Favorite contestant on The Circle?
Shooty.
Someone that you wish you could have kind of talked to more on The Circle?
Chris.
Someone who you talk to a lot on The Circle and you're best friends with?
Shooty.
Favorite sport?
Baseball.
Favorite reality show besides The Circle, even though you don't watch reality shows much?
The Challenge.
Keanu Reeves or Ryan Reynolds?
Ooh, Ryan Reynolds.
Boston Red Sox or Boston Celtics?
Celtics.
And that concludes our speed round.
See, I was ready.
What did you think of some of those questions? Were pretty good, right?
Yeah, they were legit. They were legit.
I just had like a Food Network chef on my show, and I did that. I had like Justin Werner.
That's cool.
And he's been at like guys' grocery games, and I was just like, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say a food. You're gonna tell me how you're gonna enhance it. So I was like, scrambled eggs. He's like, use sour cream. I was like, whoa.
Hey, yeah, like you have to be so prepared. Like in your mind, your mind never stops working, even after the circle.
But so the thing is, everyone wants content right now. Like everyone wants to look at you or like Seaburn. They want Joey Sasso content. They want Sammy content because people are gonna eat up this interview. So if you watch my past interviews, I don't do a lot of stuff like speed rounds or like it's more kind of like prep questions. I wanted to make this an episode that like for the Circle fans, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like people are craving content for the Circle right now.
And it's true because a lot of people are like, we miss you guys. Come back on TV. Like, be on another show together. Like, please. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so bad because, like, we're all so spread out. But, like, we're all so close because we all have, like, a group chat. And it's like, we stay connected that way. And, like, even at that, it sucks because we're like, oh, we wish we can give you guys more episodes.
What is next for Seaburn Williams?
All I can really say is stay tuned because there are a lot of.
You're really gonna say that right now?
Yes, I have to say stay tuned. Oh man,
that's just a waste to ask that question.
Because there's a couple projects that are currently in the works.
There's a lot on the Bunsen burner. That's good.
Yes, there's a lot that's like really on the work. So I can definitely say I'm gonna keep you guys on your toes. I'm definitely gonna continue to give you guys more content, more laughs, a lot more just a lot more. So it's coming.
So this is the last question I'm gonna ask, and it's more of like it's more of a kind of like a more intense, serious question. A lot of people talk about reality stars and use the quote sometimes, 15 minutes of fame. You go on the reality show, you don't do a reality show ever again, right? And you have these big followers because it happens sometimes. Some people do the one, they one and done. They do one reality show and then they're done with it. They're back to their day jobs. They're back
that is true.
Hosting club parties or whatever they do. You know what I mean? Like so what does Seaburn Williams need to do to not be this victim of like this 15 minutes of fame?
Pretty much I'll let you guys in. So I'm pretty much in the works for like a couple projects that are not just like 15 minutes of fame. It's more like longevity. So with this idea, I'm working on the longevitous game to make sure that, it's not just a moment in time. It's going to be, a moment in time and a memory, but it'll be a long, forever kind of ordeal.
See, I hope I wasn't too harsh with that question.
No. You are absolutely on point.
Yeah,
And
because like I want to keep it positive all the time, but I did want to kind of ask that because that's something that a lot of people get. You know what I mean? Oh, they were a contestant on The Bachelorette. Oh, they do a few, endorsement deals and everything, and then 4 years go down the drain, and it's kind of like I did that 4 years ago, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it could
they're
happen.
in their avenues. But I'm looking at it like they're trying to like get me for the challenge. They're trying to they're trying to get me for the challenge. They're trying to get me to do a couple things. So we're trying to see what the word is.
I can't even. I don't think I'd be able to handle you on the challenge.
Oh man, I don't think I could handle myself.
Shout out to Tony Raines. Tony Raines has been on the show.
Oh, shout out to Tony Raines
from the challenge, and that was a cool interview because you really because he was also on The Real World, but like hearing about the challenge was really cool. Like that kind of reality show is like a very unique compared to others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually tuned into it. I started like going through it and like sorting out some of the episodes, and like it's intense. So
absolutely,
I definitely was like, you know what? If I had the opportunity to be on the challenge, I definitely would do my best. I'd do my best, and I'd just be the same as yesterday. But I would definitely kill a lot of that stuff and freaking go hard.
Absolutely, man. Well, Seaburn, we will wrap up, but thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Oh man, thank you for having me. I'm so glad I got to talk to you guys.
No, absolutely. So, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, so my Instagram is officially Seaburn, and my Twitter is Seaburn Williams 1, and of course my Facebook is Bernie Lamar.
And tell people why they should watch The Circle.
Oh man, you guys should definitely watch The Circle because of course there's always someone you can relate to, from the quirky geek down to the ghetto fabulous. It's like you'll definitely be entertained and you won't want to miss it.
Absolutely. Well, seriously, man, wish you all the best. We can't wait to see what's in store for Seaburn in the future. We're excited.
Oh man, it's coming. It's definitely coming. So be prepared. I'm working.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Don't forget you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify to listen to the audio-only episodes of our show as well. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as well. Until next time, this is Seaburn Williams and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.